there they are then, ready to go racing. Sophie Pawsey on the left and Harrison Johns on the right. That's your front row with Owen Roberts and Christian Oblag on the second row. Maximus Shields and Harry Brown complete your runners in Junior Pro Kart. So as long as the track is clear, we should be good to go racing in this one. Final few words of advice down there for Christian Oblang from his dad. And, there is indeed a number on the top of that Nauseo panel. It's just that it's the panel that they've got with that opening at the front, and the fact that the number is on an orange background, which is then black, and the actual race car is red, means that it doesn't show up overly well, but the number is definitely there. And I'm sure it was there earlier on when I spoke to Christian during the paddock walk, which is something that will be coming up just after we break for lunch. We'll go straight into that paddock walk, which we pretty much, well, I say pretty much, we walk from one end of the paddock to the other and then back up the other side again here at Hooton Park. It's a long but very thin paddock, which is great for a paddock walk because you're just pretty much walking in a long straight line, and every driver that you encounter you can talk to, which is fantastic. You don't have to weave in and out of anything or then cut back in and potentially miss anybody out. We just walked all the way down and then we cut through onto the grass, walked up and then finished the paddock walk. Just speaking to some drivers that were about to go out for their practice sessions this morning. All of our drivers getting the obligatory practice session before we go into our random grid formats here at Hooton Park for CKC and JKC. And we'll then look later on to go to the positions from the points accrued from their 3 heats to go into the finals here at Hooton. That's when we'll be putting drivers into their orders. We've got another poll going out in the live chat asking how long the Hooton Park circuit is. Now on this one, I don't actually know the answer, so I'm hoping that James, our producer, does, because it will mean that during the lunch break I will have to head out and figure it out. So, but at least apparently one of us in here does, which is handy. Sophie Pawsey leads the way then in Junior Pro Kart as the 7 comes through, and Shields and Oblang already side by side, and Max Shields from 5th place forces his way through into 3rd place and in front of his nearest championship challenger. Owen Roberts is going to lead though into the hairpin as he gets down the inside of Sophie Pawsey. Shields is going to get alongside the 77 as well, but will be on the outside. Pawsey then will have track position and holds on to 2nd place, although then runs slightly wide, and Shields goes up the back of Sophie Pawsey. She goes wide out and onto the rumble strips, and still Shields and Pawsey are side by side. Pawsey relents though into the bottom corner. Shields though runs wide, and Christian Oblag is through, arm up off the wheel from Max Shields. Although I will be fair in saying there that most of that opening lap incident there with Shields down the inside, particularly into that last corner, was probably caused by Shields having a little bit of a run into the back of Pawsey into that double apex left and him not getting the run that he was looking for. But now Pawsey off, and Pawsey off once again with contact. This time it's with the 10 of Harrison Johns, and Sophie Pawsey, not for the first time today, is into the tyre wall here at Hooton Park. She's been pulled out by one of the marshals down there. And now she's on the tarmac. She's going to be able to rejoin the track as she spins the 77 kart round, but she's disillusioned at the very least for Sophie Pawsey there, being forced off the track. Now Shields gets down the inside of Oblang. Oblang gets the cut back and gets down the inside of Shields. They're side by side as they run down the back straight into the hairpin. Oblang's going to try and keep this one pinned all the way around the outside, but Shields being very forceful. Now he's giving it the come, and I'm not sure Oblang's going to let him have that one, because really, whilst they do want to take the outright victory, the battle for the championship is right here, ladies and gentlemen, between Christian Oblang and Max Shields. The driver with the best seat in the house at the minute, Harry Brown in the 47, watching the championship battle unfold right in front of his eyes. As now Shields is right on the back of Christian Oblag once again as they head down towards the hairpin at the bottom. He pops out of the slipstream, has a bit of a think about it. Shields and Oblag. Has another think into that double apex left. Shields, who only needs to finish within, I think it's 20 points of Oblag at the end of the day to win the championship in Junior Pro Kart and make himself a double champion. Let's see in terms of timing whether now that they've really sort of slowed this one down in terms of overtaking each other, are going to start then trying to reel in that 2-second gap that Owen Roberts has at the front of this race. Shields is thinking about it once again down the inside of Oblang. It's 2 seconds is the gap to your race leader. They took 3.5 tenths out on the previous lap, so at that sort of rate it's going to take them 6 laps to close back that 2-second gap, which they've probably got just about enough time if they work together to close it up. The top 3 though, there's only 1 point between each of the point paying positions in the top 3, and then there's a 2-point gap then before you drop down into 4th place, which is currently being occupied by Harry Brown. Now Shields once again gets the run, this time on the inside of Oblang. Oblang comes across to defend the corner and then slots back into the lead. They took 6 tenths out of the lead of Owen Roberts on the previous lap, whilst not really making too stringent attempts to overtake each other, although Shields did have a couple of thoughts about it into the first corner and then down into hairpin 3. They could well turn this one into a 4-kart battle for the lead. But now Shields is to the inside of Christian Oblang. Oblang's going to turn in, and then he's gone wide out onto the rumble strip. Max Shields is down the inside. Shields was alongside there and had every right to take that corner, in my opinion, with Oblang then deciding to turn in and defend. I don't think there was actually any contact between the two of them. Oblang just had to run all the way around the outside and slot into 3rd place, though did take a huge chunk of grass in doing so on the outside. You saw the dust flick up as he went over there. Now the gap down to 1 second on the previous lap. Let's see with that overtake as to whether Shields has been able to close the gap to Owen Roberts. It has, but it's only a fraction by 1.5 tenths. But now with 3 minutes remaining, and he's starting to open the gap up to Christian Oblag. Oblag feeling the need to look over his shoulder at Harry Brown in the 47. The driver that we've seen make sporadic appearances in the JKC throughout the year. He was at Fullbeck, we saw him as well at Rowra. He's here as well at Hooton Park, this being his local track. The driver from Denton in Manchester, running in 4th place at the moment, only 1.6 seconds off the front of this race. The gap down by another 6 tenths between Max Shields and Owen Roberts. Shields is closing in on the front of this one. Roberts, though, leading the way in that 7 kart, also sporting the number 7. The 7 kart being the chassis. It is underneath him, his engines and his seat. He is leading the way. There is some lap traffic coming up with Sophie Pawsey having rejoined the race, having been off into the tyres, and Shields gets the run out of the final corner but had to go tighter, so it'll be interesting to see whether he's got the horsepower into the first corner. And Max Shields moves through on Owen Roberts for the lead, and Christian Oblag as well, now looking interested in that 2nd place. The top 4 though split by less than a second over the line on the previous lap. So head round that double apex left, 1.5 minutes remaining. Lap time's 40 seconds, so if they cross anything less than 1 minute 20, then that's going to give us an indication of how many more laps we're going to get here as Pawsey moves to the inside, allows the rest of the field to come through. Good awareness by the driver of the 77, although in all honesty she doesn't have to move out of the way of them. It is the driver behind's prerogative to find a way through. That's how karting works. It's slightly differently to cars. There's no blue flags and you don't have to move out of the way. If there is a blue flag, it's just to give the driver an awareness that there is a faster kart approaching. The driver is not obliged to move off the line and is often advised, unless it's clear and easy to do so in the way that Pawsey did, that the driver maintains his line, his or her line, so that it is predictable for those drivers behind in finding a way through. 25 seconds remaining means that next time round will be last lap for Maximus Shields. Personal best for Christian Oblang on that last lap, but it's still 2/10 slower than Max Shields, who sets the fastest lap of the race with a 40.226 at the front of this race. And it means that Shields will be heading, as long as he finishes here today at the Junior Kart Championship, for the championship in this class. A quick look at the potential permutations for Shields now, if he manages to hold on and finish where he is, where he finished the races at the end of the day. Shields, Oblang, Roberts, Brown, Johns and Pawsey are your top 6 runners, with Pawsey now being shown as a lap down after Shields found a way through. Shields then on the last lap and making his way round that final corner. Hasn't been an easy one for Shields, but since he's moved to the front there, the relief as his head rolls back off his shoulders as he takes the checkered flag, with Christian Oblang second, Roberts third, Brown in fourth, with Harrison Johns will be classified in 5th place in front of Sophie Pawsey, who crosses the line